this is Carol from the Light FM Morning Show, and we are here today at the Cove, at the Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove, in the beautiful chapel, and I want to introduce you to our new friend. Now, his name might be new to you, but you are going to recognize some of the songs that he's written. Such a talented artist. We are welcoming Benjamin William Hastings. Thank you for being here.
No, thanks for having me. What a beautiful
honored.
place.
We are honored to have you, and I just want people to get to know you a little bit because they do know a lot of the songs that you've written, so let's go ahead and count those off that you can name.
Okay. Oh, Praise the Name.
Yeah.
So Will I.
Yeah.
Outside of the United Hillsong stuff, I've also The Father's House.
Yes.
Corey Asbury.
Yes.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Brandon Lake.
Wow, I didn't realize you'd written that song.
Yeah, it
what
was a fun one to be a
great
part of.
song.
Yeah.
So let's rewind the clock.
Yeah.
And tell people kind of your story, where you started out, kind of how you grew up, those kinds of things.
Well, I grew up in Ireland, in the north of Ireland, Belfast. And I was there the first 19 years of my life. Came to know Jesus around 15. And I have this cool kind of full circle story actually where I think I was maybe 15, 16. And I was on a vacation in Florida with my parents. And we went into a record store back when they existed.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the CDs, and honestly, I don't even know if it was a Christian record store, just a normal record store. And I was going through the H's, and this record just really stood out to me. So I picked it up, I bought it, and it turns out that was the Hillsong United record, Look to You.
Wow.
And I fell in love with the music. I got home to listen to it. I was like, I think this is about God. Cool. And yeah, just fell in love with it. So fast forward 10 years, I guess. Well, more than that now. A lot of years. And yeah, that's kind of what I do now is travel with those same guys and write songs with them. And they're a lot of my best friends. Yeah. And yeah, it's really cool to kind of.
So I think the thing that intrigues me about your songwriting is the depth of your lyrics. I mean, with Christian music, people say the same thing a lot of different ways.
Sure.
But you bring a depth to the lyrics that just constantly I'm taken aback by even the words, We got to see you perform So Will I. And just hearing the words of that song from somebody who had a part in writing that is so powerful. Where do you think that depth came from?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for saying that.
Sure.
You know what's funny is, and it's really funny you chose those words, because for me, I was in Sydney. I was, at the time, I was young. I was maybe 21, 22, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And honestly, I didn't really know. At the time, I was in Bible college, and I was trying to write worship music, and it just wasn't coming naturally. Every song I wrote just sounded like a bad version of other songs that exist. And so I was kind of wrestling with that and struggling with that and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And at one point, I was going to move to Bali and just live on the beach. And I was like, that's going to be my life. And it is an occasional daydream that I drift off to. But I had this one moment at a conference. I was volunteering at a women's conference. And my job was just to walk the girls to their cars. So I was on the driver's team, but I was just kind of holding an umbrella, essentially, as it was raining. And I was walking this one lady across to your car, and halfway, it's raining, I'm holding an umbrella, and she stops me, looks me dead in the eyes, and she says, "Are you a writer?" And I was like, yeah, I am actually. And we're not talking about music at all, we're just kind of chit-chatting. And she said to me, she was like, "You have the ability to express deep truth, and that's the thing you're meant to pursue." And then she just kept walking. And I was like, I'm just standing there still holding the umbrella. Oh no, I better catch up. And honestly, that moment completely changed my life, because it was honestly one of the first moments in a long time where I really knew without a shadow of a doubt that I'd heard from God. It was one of those things that just pierced right to the depths of me. And ever since that moment, I kind of retargeted my, I guess you say ambition's the wrong word, but my focus or my attention onto, okay, well, as opposed to just trying to write songs that already exist or try to write I just tried to write for that. I was like, okay, well, if that's my thing, then how am I going to do that? And so I pursued, I guess, God through song and tried to, I guess, mine him a little bit, like tried to dig and be like, okay, well, what are these truths, or what are these things that I'm meant to uncover through music? And I stopped, I guess, trying to write songs that everyone would want to sing, and just started writing songs directly from me to God. And the irony was, that was the point where people were like, oh, maybe I'll sing that. Yeah. So it was kind of this full shift that happened to me. And in the next few months, kind of everything changed. I wrote kind of the first song, a song called Captain, that ended up getting used by United. And and I met my wife, like, in that sort of time. So, like, it was just kind of a crazy period. But yeah, it's funny you kind of used those exact words, because that was the thing that kind of, like, I guess awakened in me a passion and an identity, I guess, within this thing that I do.
Yeah. So I know you're a creative. Like, what does your process look like now? I mean, like, how do you, because we have a lot of people who get in touch and say, you know, really feel called to worship and be a songwriter. So just kind of highlight what your process looks like now as you're writing a song.
I'm very collaborative, so very, very rarely do I write songs entirely by myself. Yeah. To be honest, if I write a song by myself, it's because it's I'll flip it this way. If I really, really care about this concept or idea I have, I will normally bring in at least one other person, because I find that the best songs are written in partnership, and even just having someone there in the room, it helps you kind of like. It helps you just kind of get to the bottom of whatever the best version of that thing is. Yeah. And sometimes that means I'm all about just the collaboration, as long as the song ends up being the best. Like, there's one song on my record called Eden, which has like 7 writers on it. And they're all like amazing writers. And so I would say find someone, ideally that's good at things that you're not good at, or that kind of fills in some of your gaps. And just start to try and see what happens. And I think you shortcut a lot of time working with someone else, because you can sit there at a piano for 10 hours. Just be like, is this good? Is this not good? But you know immediately when you play it to someone if it's good or not. Yourself tells you, because you're either like, oh, I'm really excited to play this to them, or I'm embarrassed to play this to them. And then if that doesn't tell you, then you know by their face whether they try to like hide it or not. I was a funny story on that. So the one of the songs that I'm like a single at the minute is That's the Thing About Praise, and I wrote it with friend Blessing Offer, who is an incredible guy, and if you don't know, he's blind. And we had this really funny conversation where he said to me, it was the first day we met, he was like, you know, in a writing session, he's like, everyone has curated their game face. So like, if they don't like your idea, they know how to like hide that on their face. He's like, but nobody's curated their game voice. And he said that to me right before we started writing. So I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, what's my voice doing? What's my voice doing? And we get into the session a little bit. And anyway, he came up with this idea, and I was so excited. And I was just jumping up and down. And I stopped for a second, and I was like, you heard that, right? He was like, yeah, I heard that.
You had to make sure it had the thumbs up with the voice.
Yeah, really funny.
Yeah, great. So what is your most favorite song that you've ever written?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably a tie between a few. I mean, I'll always be grateful for So Will I.
Sure.
Because of, I guess, I just feel really honored to be a part of that song. Like, we worked really hard on it, but at the same time, at every time we, I guess, picked up a pen, so to speak, I felt like God gave us like a new gift. And that's not necessarily always the case with writing. Sometimes the more you write a song, the worse it gets. Yeah. Actually, more often than not. But on that one, it felt like the more we wrote it, the more that kind of just fell into place. And so yeah, I'll always be eternally grateful for that. And then I have a song called Father's Blessing, which I wrote for my kids, which is kind of like a prayer for them, which I think will always be special because, well, I hope it's always special, at least to them, where they could just take that with them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I guess getting to do this whole new record was a really fun process, just getting to kind of try something new, unpack what was going on inside me in a way that I probably couldn't with some of the other mediums that I'm a part of. Sure. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
So now, as a solo artist, what's God teaching you in this season?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been really, really busy, full on. It's been a lot because I still am doing stuff with the United guys. So like, it's kind of having 2 or more probably. Like kind of jobs, or it's a lot happening at the same time. So I'm trying to at the minute, for me personally, I'm trying to get better to listen to him as far as like, I guess the voice, the Holy Spirit, and like, okay, well, what of these things am I meant to do? Like we were going through a calendar yesterday, and I started getting so overwhelmed by the next like 6 months, because I think there's like, the longest I'm at home at one time is like 10 days.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, well, that's not gonna work long term. So it's like, I need to get better at like being like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I have to say no to that, even though I wanna do it, or whatever it is.
Sure.
And so that's kind of, at the minute, I think something I actually really need to kind of figure out and get better at is just those little listenings. It's like, if it's a no on this thing, it's like, okay, well, I want to do that, but I just have to listen to the no.
Yeah, the balance of it all.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So how can we best pray for you?
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I guess for me, I'd always love a few new songs. And I guess just for my family, my wife's amazing, my kids are great, and just like for them to feel, for them to be sustained and have everything they need, like while I'm away. That's always the hardest part of everything.
How many kids do you have?
I got 2 kids.
2 kids. Boy, girl?
Both, yeah. So a little 2.5-year-old boy and a girl that just turned 7.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And how long have you been married?
I'm married, coming up on 9 years, but we're thinking about, we actually ended up getting married in Bali, which was kind of my tip of the hat to the dream that never happened.
Yep.
But I think we're going to go back next year and kind of get the whole wedding back together. And
fantastic.
I know, so that's why I nearly said 10, because that's where my mind is already.
Yeah, it's not because you forgot.
No, it's not.
We want to clarify that. Well, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Before you go, we want to have a little fun. Because we've been pretty serious. And it would not be me if we didn't have a little fun. So, do you always go by Benjamin William Hastings? That's a mouthful.
It's a lot, yeah. I make my kids call me that.
Because if people called me by all 3 names, I would feel like I was in trouble all the time.
I know.
Because that's the only time I heard my other name.
It does. I actually know. If someone said it in a serious voice, I guess it would feel a little bit like my grandma chasing me. She used to chase me with a slipper.
Okay, so I want you to name 5 people who go by 3 names. Culture, movies, whatever.
That go by 3 names?
They go by 3 names, like you.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Right.
Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Okay.
Michael W. Smith. Does that count?
W is a letter. That's not a name.
Okay.
See, it's hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. They are out there, though.
Do you have a nickname that people call you?
Well, okay. People will normally just call me Ben or Benny or Hastings, or the United guys call me Derry. There's this funny video on YouTube, which is, I probably shouldn't be endorsing this video. It's an Irish guy. It's an Irish guy trying to catch a bat in his house, and he's running around with a towel, and his son's yelling at him, "Catch him, Derry! Catch him, Derry!" So
they call you Derry.
They call me Derry.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. So you just Ben.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Benny
William Hastings.
Benjamin William Hastings. Yeah.
Anybody call you Bill?
No. Well, my dad's called Bill.
Oh, so your dad.
Yeah. So no one's gone there. Maybe for the sake of the differentiation.
See, here in school, when you start school, they automatically the first day say your first name and your last name, right?
Right.
So if you don't go by your first name, you get embarrassed in front of all your classmates. That never happens to you because you use all your names.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit jealous. Because my mother called us all by our middle names.
Oh. I'm discovering that's a thing.
Middle
here.
names?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the South. Is that something that happens? Because someone said that to me yesterday.
I don't know. I thought it was just my family. Is that a Southern thing? Maybe so.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. But my first name is Leslie, and people would always say, "You don't look like a Leslie." And I'd be like, "What does a Leslie look like?"
Yeah, I know.
But that's why I go by Carol. So.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Anyway, what's a fun fact that people don't know about you that they're kind of surprised to find out?
Ooh, that's a good question. I guess I could go back to my days as a teen. So I grew up Ireland, which everyone kind of knows. I used to play rugby, and I was trying to be. That was kind of my life goal, was to be a professional rugby player.
Okay.
And then I got injured.
Yeah.
Do
you know that is like very common in Christian music?
We were just talking about that
Zach
yesterday.
Williams.
Yeah.
Bart Millard, Mercy
Wow.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that a lot.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a thing God does to kind of
You may not
I don't know
play.
how the theology is on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else
And
interesting?
yeah, well, all through my teens, my job was busking, which I'm realizing is not a word that we use here, but busking is in Ireland. It's kind of like when you stand on the street and you open your guitar case and you kind of just sing aggressively at people until they give you money. And that was my job.
Most money ever made in a day.
You know what? One time I made 100 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you normally would. It actually was pretty profitable, but you just had to battle the elements because it's cold in Ireland.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there, it's not like a seasonal thing. Like if it's your job, it's your job. So I'd be out there in the snow.
Like there's not a busking season.
No, you're on. And so I would normally make about £20 an hour, which at the time for me was amazing. It was like twice what my friends were making, but you could only last like 3.5, maybe 4 hours if you were really sort of like. But by then, your hands are frozen.
Yeah.
And you've still got to carry this hopefully like case full of money and a guitar and an amp and the whole thing. Like I would park at the outskirts of the city, so I didn't have to pay for parking. So.
Lower those expenses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But that was fun, and I actually feel like I learned a lot through that process. A lot of the things I
biggest lesson you learned doing that.
Well, I guess how to like engage someone that does not want to be engaged, which as a worship leader is actually quite helpful, because you could, and at least at this point, I'm not trying to like thankfully get money out of them. I'm more trying to utilize that skill for good. But well, not that that's not good, but you know, yeah. So I actually feel like that helped. You know, I'm trying to figure out what actually it is that I would do to engage someone. But maybe it's like eye contact or a smile, or even like feeling a room.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, okay, where's this room at? And what I need to do to get it to where it probably needs to be.
Yeah, very important thing.
Yeah,
when you're
but
leading
busking,
worship.
who
Yeah,
knew?
I did not know that word. In fact, Brian told me that yesterday. He was like, he was I don't think he said busker, but he said it was busking, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm old. So thank you for educating me.
Okay.
And thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
We're very excited about your solo career, the songwriting, and we're so grateful that you're using your gifts. And we thank you for the songs because they have ministered to us so many times. So thank you very much.
Thank you.